Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Before the Kickoff podcast. Yes, we are still alive. We are still here, and we're going to give you another podcast. We're going to try to do these weekly. It's going to be hard when the NFL season is out because there's not going to be a lot of topics to talk about, but we will try our hardest to give it to you. So here today we have our college writer and, generic writer, Chase Oliver here.
Hello.
And we also are going to have a special guest for the NFC East discussion. Brandon Hughes, the NFC East writer, is also here.
Hello.
So, first discussion. We want to talk about the NFC East. All right, right now it is a three-way tie between the Redskins, Cowboys, and the New York Giants. They are all tied at 8-6. There's all kinds of playoff scenarios out there, but just asking the simple question, who will win the NFC East? I'm going to ask you, Chase Oliver, to answer the question first.
For me, the NFC East is always an interesting division. Of course, it's a three-team race, but for me, I'm never counting out the New York Football Giants of winning this division. The Giants, yes, they're slumping. Yes, their schedule looks much more tougher than the Redskins and Cowboys to finish off the year, but the Giants are still a winning team, and they will win this division.
Now, let's ask our NFC East writer, Brandon Hughes. What are your thoughts on this, and who do you think is going to win this division?
I'm gonna have to go with the Redskins because yes, the Giants they're probably the favorite to win, but I think the Redskins will do this. They showed us last week that even without Robert Griffin III, they could still win games, even though it was against the Browns, who are improved. I think the Redskins will win. They have their remaining schedule is not that bad. They have the Eagles and the Cowboys. That's definitely at least a win there. And it's kind of shaky against the Cowboys, but I think the Redskins will win.
And, for me, these are words I never thought I would say. I've been on the Giants since the beginning of the year. I said, they won the division. They should be able to win it again. And, to go far in the playoffs again. Probably not repeat the Super Bowl championship, but still be able to play very well. And I'm sitting here today, I'm shocked, and I'm on the bandwagon, and I'm saying that the Washington Redskins will win the division. I think Brandon Hughes pointed out very well. If you look at their remaining schedule, they will win this week against the Philadelphia Eagles. Probably, let me not say will, but probably will win. And then they're facing the dysfunctional Cowboys at the last game of the year, and we all know that the Cowboys are probably going to choke that one. So when you look at that, I think the Redskins are going to make the playoffs, are going to win the NFC East. But I think that maybe, just maybe, because I do think that Chicago right now is a choking monster, that the Giants can still find a way to make it into the playoffs by winning out, of course. They'd have to beat the Ravens this week, and then next week they would have to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. But I do think they can still make the playoffs, probably end up being a 5th seed over Seattle, and they'll still be in there, and then they'll probably, in my playoff machine, they will face the Washington Redskins in the first wild card game. So that would be fun to watch. So I do think the Redskins are going to win the division, but I still do think that the Giants are going to make the playoffs. Thank you, Brandon Hughes, for joining this discussion.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so Chase Oliver, I think it's time for your college minute of the week. Give us your minute.
All right, first off, Alabama AD says that Nick Saban will not leave Alabama, but for all we know, Nick Saban, last time he said he wasn't going to coach Alabama 5 years ago. So this word should not be trusted whatsoever. South Carolina defensive end, Clowney, says he's going to win the Heisman next year. Already talking about winning the Heisman. SEC sack leader of 13, really believes he can, so let's see if he can do it next year. Michigan QB pleads guilty for license charges. Don't know what's going on with Michigan. Michigan right now, ever since adding Brady Hoke, they thought that they would have a really good team on their hands. They improved to their top 10 ranking, and they could be in trouble in their bowl game. Alabama's Barrett Jones is recovering from an ankle injury. Don't know how the ankle injury suffered, but Barrett Jones says that he will be healthy enough for the national championship game. And that's pretty much it for the College Football Minute.
Thank you, Chitara, for that. Now we move on to the AFC side of the playoffs, where we really have a two-team battle between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals. And there is a scenario that the Indianapolis Colts do not make the playoffs, but we are all going to say that they will. And we are also going to assume that the Miami Dolphins do not sneak in there because the Miami Dolphins need too much help in order to make the playoffs. So we're already going to assume that that is not going to happen as well. So really, if you had to pick the Bengals or the Steelers, and let's keep in mind that the Bengals can actually win their division, but it's probably not likely. But Bengals or Steelers, who do you think is going to get that last playoff seed?
The Bengals are going to get that last playoff seed. Pittsburgh is, all honestly, pathetic. This team is pathetic right now. This defense, at their home, lost to the San Diego Chargers in a blowout where Big Ben was coming back, and we thought that Big Ben was going to destroy the Chargers. And then in Dallas, they don't show the fourth quarter urgency that we have seen in the past from the Pittsburgh Steelers. This team is dangerous in the fourth quarter, and they look like chumps to one of the most inconsistent teams in the NFL. I'm sorry. I like how the Bengals are playing. Despite them being only a 1.5-man offense, and what that means is A.J. Green is the one man and Andy Dalton's half of a quarterback, that's it. That's it. The Bengals are making to the playoffs, but they're not going far. Do not expect a Bengals playoff push. No.
Me too. I also have the Bengals making that final playoff seed. Keeping in mind that I do have the Bengals winning this week and the Ravens losing this week, so essentially that last game next week will be for the AFC North between the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. But I don't expect the Bengals to win two straight. Let me say this. If the Bengals do win against the Steelers and then next week for the AFC North title, if the Ravens lose this week, of course, if they find a way to beat the Ravens for the AFC North title and what will probably be the Sunday night game, I am on the Bengals being, transcendent and finally breaking through that wall and being a real legitimate AFC championship. I'm not going to say Super Bowl, but they really could make the AFC championship. They really could upset, let's say, the Patriots. They really could upset the Texans, make a big push in this playoffs. Probably not go too far, but really be scary in 2013 and on. But I do think that they will make the playoffs. I just don't see them winning the AFC North. I mean, it's just too much for them to happen because, after all, they have had troubles beating the Steelers in the first place and the Ravens. They just haven't been able to beat the Ravens or the Steelers. This dates back to last year. If you remember the last game of the season, Bengals, Ravens, the Bengals would still make the playoffs, but if they would have beat the Ravens, which they really wanted to do, they would have made it anyway. They would not have needed help, but they got their help, and they did make it, but that showed to me that I don't think they're really cut out to beat the Ravens or Steelers when it counts just yet. Remember, they've already lost to Baltimore and Pittsburgh this year. They haven't beaten them for the last 2 years. So when they finally beat them, that's when I'm finally going to be on them. And they have a chance to do that for the next 2 weeks. And we're going to see what happens. And for the final topic of the podcast today, who's the Jets star right now? I mean, we have Greg McElroy, who has been named the starter for this game. Check out beforethekickoff.com for an article on that. And we have Tim Tebow, who we all know what he did last year. And we have Mark Sanchez, who threw a horrible 4 interceptions against my Tennessee Titans on primetime football, Monday Night Football. Chase, the Jets are a mess. Is there any quarterback of these three that can get them 2 wins for the rest of the year against the Chargers and Buffalo Bills?
No. I'm sorry, no. Greg McElroy, great quarterback coming out of Alabama, highest Wonderlic score of all time. He's a smart kid, but doesn't mean he's smart enough to play quarterback in the NFL. Yeah, he showed some success in the touchdown drive, but still, we don't know his full capabilities of being a quarterback in the NFL. We don't know how he can play a full game in the NFL. Tim Tebow should have been starting since like week freaking 6. But it's too late to start him now. It's too late. And then Mark Sanchez, that guy's doo-doo. He sucks. In all honesty, they have really no one in those 3 quarterbacks that I would say start for my team. Because one's unproven, one's proven, and one is just a bust. So in all honesty, none of these 3 are capable of starting, but the best option is Greg McElroy because he can throw the football better than Sanchez, in my opinion. And not to mention, he's a lot more mobile quarterback than most people think. Go watch Alabama versus Florida, SEC Championship 2009. You'll see the mobility of Greg McElroy.
And yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head. You know, all three of these quarterbacks are just ugh. But you know, for me, I just think they have to start Tebow. I mean, you traded what was it, a 4th round draft pick for this guy? You have to,
2.
or yeah, it was 2 draft picks at the end of the day. Let's see what he can do. Okay, we saw him again in one series against the Titans, but he didn't throw the football. And he threw the football once, actually, and it was incomplete. Let's see what he can do in a whole game, okay? Because after what we all witnessed in a horrible Monday night game, Mark Sanchez should not be allowed to start for any football team for the rest of his career, and I'm saying that very nicely. I'm sorry, Mark. You're bad, okay? And the quicker everybody in the NFL realizes it, the better. Because the fact of the matter is, Mark Sanchez, he should be done. That's it. Because if Vince Young is not allowed to play in this league, if no one wants him, I don't know why anyone would want Mark Sanchez either. So just start Tebow. Greg McElroy will not be your starter. I don't care if Greg McElroy throws for 400 yards the last 2 games. I don't trust him being a starter yet. Maybe after 5 years of sitting behind Tom Brady will this guy get good. But as far as I'm concerned, Greg McElroy is not the answer to any question. And signing Braylon Edwards was a risky move to say the least, but it doesn't even matter because they're not making the playoffs. And it all ended for them last night. So thank you guys for watching the Before the Kickoff podcast. Make sure to comment down below your thoughts. Make sure to check out beforethekickoff.com. Make sure to follow beforethekickoff.com on twitter.com at BTKickoff. And also make sure to like us on Facebook, facebook.com/beforethekickoff. Chase, is there anything you want to say to end it off?
Yeah, just do what everything James said and more. Check out every article and share it with your friends on Twitter and on Facebook. That's basically what I got to say.
Thank you. And also comment down below a topic that you want us to discuss. All right, we're going to take a topic of the week. If you guys can just comment down below. We'll talk about it next week. We're going to start trying to do this weekly, and hopefully we can get it done. For all of us here at beforethekickoff.com, we will talk to you all later. Make sure to comment on our articles and all that fun stuff. We'll get a conversation going before the kickoff.